Hi everyone. I think we will start a little earlier. If somebody will get here, then nothing wrong. So one first question. How many of you guys saw a previous talk? Previous talk here? Just one? Okay, so don't worry, it will be not that crazy, not just a lot of crazy AR demos. The point of my talk will be to show you how easy it is to use augmented reality right now and how you can benefit from it. And I actually want to inspire you to use the ARKit and create something great because I think that augmented reality will be one of the next big things. So my name is Yuri Strot and I work in ARKit, and actually my talk was named Getting Ready for ARKit, but ARKit is already here, it's already released, and you actually can update to iOS 11 and you can go to App Store and install some augmented reality application on your iPhone or iPad if you have a compatible device. So the better name for my talk would be Getting Started with the ARKit, because I'm going to speak about some basic things, how it works, how it competes to other technologies, and how you can use it. So this is me, and I'm CTO of ARKit and co-founder of this company. And this company located here in Novosibirsk, and we have an office on the 8th floor. And we actually not that famous even here in Novosibirsk, but there is actually a lot of great stuff I can say about our company. At least we are #1 company in Russia who contribute to open source using the Swift programming language. And as you probably know, Swift is a language developed and used by Apple to create iOS and OS X applications. So we're #1 in Russia who contribute to open source in this area. And we actually started to look at this kind of technologies like virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality in 2014. And we played with many stuff like Microsoft Hololens and the virtual glasses and things like that. And we actually even almost finished with creating our first virtual reality application in this year using Unity and C#. But then ARKit was released and we saw this technology. And this actually more related to our stuff because our company is more like mobile company. And we, from the other hand, we love all these different realities. And when ARKit was released, we saw and we found it quite interesting. And we started doing some stuff using ARKit. And we were one of the first companies who create some demos using ARKit, and we create the project called AR Tetris. So it's actually usual Tetris, but in augmented reality, and it's open source project. And currently, this is most popular open source project who show how ARKit can be used to create some stuff. It uses some basic things, physics and things like that. So it's now the most popular project in this area. And so let's talk what ARKit is, and probably some of you already saw some demos. And actually ARKit is a very, very simple thing. It uses your camera, it uses your motion tracking system, and it allows you to add some virtual objects to the real space. So like you turn on your camera, you put some object on the table, and you move your camera, and it still stays at the same position in the table. And this looks great, this looks amazing, but it was announced in June this year, and it was released 5 days ago on September 19. But the thing is that it's not anything new about this approach, about the mixed reality. And the thing is that a year ago, we have a Microsoft HoloLens, And actually, it looks even more impressive, and it was released more than a year ago, so what's the point? And that's not it. There is a Google Tanga, which was released 3 years ago, and you already were able to run and use augmented reality on your phone. And the thing is that actually, even in 1999 was released a tool called ARKit, which then was ported to iOS and in 2008, and you actually was able to run augmented reality on your iPhone 3G. So actually there is nothing new in augmented reality for your mobile phone. So what is the point of ARKit? And the point is that actually what Apple did, they allow to use augmented reality for millions of people right now. And the thing is that all these old technologies like Hololens or Google Tanga was limited to very small group of people who can use this technology. And this is a great thing for developers, because if I want to create something using Microsoft HoloLens, it means that only like thousands of people may be using it, because it's cost many money. It's like $3,000 to buy the Microsoft HoloLens. And for ARKit, it was the first thing that you can install on the phone you already have. So even Google Tanga, it requires a special phone, and it wasn't really useful for users. So it like some enterprise phone. So the thing is that ARKit available to a wide range of people right now. So you can create something great. And actually, the thing is that a lot of developers, when this thing was announced, they start creating great stuff, which wasn't created before, because why do you need to spend some effort for this, right? So one little thing is that I'm always talking about augmented reality. And you probably heard about this term, but that's not what I mean. Because you probably heard that there was a Pokemon Go, and it was about augmented reality. But it's not about putting the virtual object into real space. And the augmented reality term was about some stuff when we mix the real world and the virtual world. And Pokemon Go was about augmented reality in a sense that you can move in the real world and you will move in the virtual world. So that's how it works. And there is another application who use augmented reality term by meaning then they turn on your camera and they just place something on top of this camera, and this is augmented reality. But for things like Microsoft HoloLens and Google Tanga, they used a different term. They called it mixed reality. And to mean that you place the virtual world to the real space and you move your camera in and it still stay here. But then we have Apple. Apple came here, they released the ARKit, and they say, we don't care what mixed reality is, we say augmented reality, but we mean mixed reality. So, and now we have AR Core, and they also AR, so probably now when we say augmented reality, we will mean mixed reality. And in this talk, I will mean mixed reality when I say augmented reality. So, what about features? I think that most of this feature you saw on some demos, maybe on the previous talk. And some key things is that ARKit very simple. It actually takes like 5 minutes to start the first AR application. And I will show later the code sample to prove this, but trust me, it's super simple. Another thing which Apple did, they actually use just the usual camera. So if you see the Microsoft HoloLens or Google Tanga, they actually use special camera to find the distance to objects. And ARKit just use usual camera, but they get very accurate motion tracking. And probably if I have time, I will show some demo, and it's quite amazing. The next thing is that they get very accurate distance measurement. It means that if you have some table which is like a meter long, you can run AR, and AR can measure this table and say, yeah, this is meter long. So it's very accurate measure system. Next thing is, so by default, you can just put some object in the real space, and it will keep the same position when you move camera. But besides this, you can also track some horizontal surfaces, so you can find the floor, or you can find table, and you can put something on the floor or on the table. Next thing is that it has lights and shadows, and it looks very amazing when you put some object to the table, and you have some light, and the shadow is drawn on the table, so it looks like it real objects. It's really on the table. And the next thing is that, as I said earlier, you don't need to do something special to integrate your virtual world and the real world, so it's very easily to create the application. So I will show it later. And the next thing is that you can use third-party tools like Unity and Unreal Engine to create your augmented reality application for iOS. And what about limitations? And the thing is that limitations of ARKit is not so known, but there is a lot. For example, as I said, you can find the horizontal surfaces, but you can find vertical surfaces. And if you think like, oh, I can create a great application where I just put some pictures on the wall, then forget about it, because there is no vertical plane detection. Of course, you can just put these pictures in space and just move it around to put it like you need, but still you can do it automatically. Next thing is that you can actually find the horizontal surfaces, but you can't find the bounds of these surfaces. So if you find a table, you don't know where this table ends. And it's actually not really clear from the demos, because the demo which Apple showed on WWDC, it actually shows that there was a person who ran on the surface and then jumped to the floor. And actually, you can detect such things, and they just hardcore that stuff, so you need to worry about it. Next thing is that ARKit always put everything it draws on top of camera. So it means that if you draw something on the table and then you use your hand to overlap the camera, then it will be, so all objects will be on top of your hands. So it's really unrealistic, and compare it to Microsoft HoloLens, where you can use your hands to make some gestures. So it works much better in that sense. And actually to allow some better stuff in this area, they need to provide a better camera, which might be in iPhone X. So. But for now, iPhone 6s and other things, they should use should carry about it. So next thing is that actually ARKit doesn't work on all iOS devices. It needs A9 processor, and this is processors that so you need to have at least iPhone 6s or iPhone SE or one of the latest iPads. So if you have iPhone 6 like me, then you unfortunately can't use ARKit. And another thing, this is actually very difficult stuff. And the thing is that if you want to create some cool 3D game and you don't want to use Unity, you want to use Xcode, then it's actually a big problem with 3D models, because Apple supports only 3 3D model formats. The first one is SCN. This is a standard one, and this is a format used for default Apple models. And you will not find any model in this format. And moreover, there is no tool who can convert standard models like 3ds Max or Blender format to this format. So you just can't use this format for some models. And another two formats, the one is OBG, and it actually used only for geometry. It doesn't have textures, materials, and other stuff. So again, if you want to find some ready-to-use model, you can just export it to OBG. And third format is DAE. It's actually the only format which you can use to export models from 3D tools to this format and then use from your iOS application. But the thing is that it's not, it actually doesn't have a lot of great stuff which you can create with 3ds Max or Blender or other 3D tools. And you actually need to worry about it when you find that there is a model in 3ds and you can download this model, then convert to this DA format for your iOS, and it just you may not sure that it will work. So you need to check all this stuff when you are working with 3D models. So this is a real limitation for Xcode and iOS. And the final thing is battery life. So of course it takes all this your camera, display, all this motion tracking systems. They need a lot of battery, and actually you may kill your device for a few hours just playing some game in augmented reality. But as Pokemon Go shows that a lot of people are ready to use power banks if your application really useful. So, or maybe you can use your application inside your room and use your energy stuff to, you know. So this is about limitation. Now, if you think about the usage of ARKit, and actually, if you want to use ARKit with Xcode, you need to choose which library you are going to use to draw your virtual stuff. So you have three choices. If you use Xcode, you may use SceneKit, you can use SpriteKit, and you can use Metal. And the SceneKit is actually the default choice, and it's just the things that use hierarchy of 3D objects, and to make a scene which you can change and apply some materials, export some models, and things like that. So this is actually, in most cases, this is your choice. You can also use SpriteKit, but this is mostly for 2D stuff, and it's like if you want to run your application on the wall, or on the floor, or on the tables, then you can use SpriteKit. And Metal is just for some crazy stuff like creating super effective and super fast application, and it takes much more skills to create such an application than with SceneKit. So we will mostly talk about SceneKit. You actually, when you start to work with ARKit, you just need to create application, select that I need ARKit and I need SceneKit, and actually you will get an application that will work in augmented reality. And what this application do, it actually just do three things. First, it adds the property to properties to require access to your camera. Then it create ER SCN view, which will enable your camera access to the user, and then start running virtual objects in your real space on top of your camera. And the final things you need to do, you just need to run the session. The session will be already created, and you just need to pass as an argument default configuration. And everything will start. So you usually do it in a view did load, or on view will appear, or something like that. So you just start the session and everything will work. And if you are using, so it just after that you can have some your 3D model or some other stuff, and you just put it in your virtual scene, and then it will appear in the real world. So it's just so simple. And if you want to have a plane detection, then there is few more things that you need to do. The first one, you need to extend your view controller from one of these delegates, depending on SceneKit or SpriteKit you are using. Then you pass this delegate, and then before creating the world tracking configuration, you say that you need to use plane detection horizontal. And as you see, you have this property, plane detection, and it have options, but currently there is only horizontal surfaces. So probably we will get the vertical planes at some point in time. And finally, you need to add this callback. It will be called when ARKit finds some surface. So each time it finds new surface, it will call this render method and pass all details about the surface. And you also can use the did_update and did_remove methods to when the plane will disappear or will be moved to some other place and things like that. And one final thing you need to worry about when you create ARKit application is you need to handle errors, because there might be some cases where, for example, you just put your finger on the camera and the tracking will lose, or you turn off your light and camera will not work correctly and things like that. But actually, right now, you may not worry about all these methods because they just doesn't work. So actually, I tried many scenarios to handle this behavior. And Apple, in their guide, says that you need to worry about all this stuff, but it just doesn't work. So no worries right now, but probably in future, we will get this support as well. And finally, third-party support. And what does it mean? It means that if you are a Unity developer or Unreal Engine developer, then you can just use ARKit. It's very simple. You just need to install one of these plugins compared to, depending on what system do you use. And then it will be able to get all information from ARKit and merge your scene with the real world. So it's actually really simple to use Unity to create ARKit application or Unreal Engine. And finally, not finally actually, but let's talk about comparison with other frameworks and technologies. So I hope that most of you know this guy on the left, right? So this is a Hulk. One of the Marvel heroes, which is very powerful and have few movies about this guy. And how many of you know these guys on the right? Okay, just a few. Yeah, good. And this is actually Solomon Grundy, and this is a DC hero. And the thing is that it first have almost the same features as Hulk. So it also have superpower, it's green monster, it can transform to this kind of monster and things like that. So it's actually look like the same. And the thing is that Solomon Grundy appears in comics almost 20 years before Hulk. And it looks like the Hulk was almost copied from the Solomon Grundy. And but nobody knows about it, right? Because we most of us knew heroes by movies, and there was movie about Hulk and no movies about Solomon Grundy. And this is almost the same about ARKit and ARCore. Actually, ARCore is part of Google Tango, and Google Tango appears 3 years before ARKit. And actually, Google Tango was much better than ARKit because it have in-depth camera and it can much better detect and calibrate all this stuff. So it was greater. And the thing is that Google was able to remove all this in-depth code and allow to have something like ARKit. And they did it, but they just did it little late. Because Apple already released ARKit, and they just do it for millions of devices right now. So you already can run a ARKit application on your iPhone. And of course, Google released the ARCore, and actually it have almost the same features. So it's actually almost the same kind of technology, but they was just a little late. So and now most probably just usual people will learn augmented reality by iOS devices. So, and the only difference in ARKit and ARCore is that ARKit have a little bit better calibration, and it's actually because Google need to support a wide range of devices, and they just can't make all necessary changes to hardware, and that's why they right now only support 3 measure devices. And Apple just controlling the hardware, and that's why it's easier for them to do this stuff. But from the other hand, Google play with this technology and with this algorithm much more time, and they actually make some better things like lighting correction. So for example, if you turn off lights, then and you have your virtual object, then it will go to dark. It's just crazy stuff. And with the ARKit, they also have this stuff, but it just doesn't work so crazy. So yeah, it's changed lights, but it's not that good. And another thing is, how many of you know this guy? Not bad. Well, actually, this guy, one of the most powerful heroes in both DC and Marvel worlds. But the thing is that it was in the movie, but it was not that popular movie known as Watchers. And very few people know about this guy. And if you just ask to random user, like, who is the powerfulest hero in the comics universe, then he can say it Hulk, Superman, doesn't matter, but he never think about this guy. And this guy actually like Microsoft Hololens, so it's very cool, it's very powerful technology, and it have a lot of features, and at least half of limitation of a ARKit, which I showed before, Microsoft Hololens doesn't have it. But the thing is, nobody's care, because this is $3,000 for the glass, and nobody want to buy such a thing, and developers don't want to write some application for wide range. They just can't write application for the wide range of users because nobody use it. And you can use Microsoft HoloLens if you want to sell something to a business, and then you can provide the device and all your software and just use it. But currently, at this point of time, most of the people just doesn't know about this technology. And actually, I think that in the nearest time, a lot of people will know about augmented reality by using iOS and then Android phones. So let's quickly talk about the future of augmented reality and about some real examples of using of augmented reality. The first thing is, of course, entertainment. So there is already a lot of games which support augmented reality, and here we have the Walking Dead application. So it actually application which you can play to to kill some zombies which appears right near you, and you can walk around and they will go to you and things like that. So it actually looks quite nice. As I know, this application is not released to the App Store, but I think they will release it in the nearest few weeks probably. And there is actually a lot more games, and our company has created another game called Arcane Maze. If I will have time, I will show a little later. But there is about fun. The next thing I think would become very popular is augmented reality navigation. So it means that if you need to go to some place, you don't need to open just a regular map like Google Maps or 2GIS or things like that. You just run your phone and it just show the navigation right on the floor. So you just run your application and go where it says. So it will be so easier to use this navigation using augmented reality. And the next thing is measurement. As I said, it works very good. And here, example of application called air measurement or air measurement. So the thing is that it show you a lot of different metrics you can use to measure some stuff. So you can measure distance, you can measure some stuff on the walls, you can find the right pocket to box some your stuff and send by mail and things like that. So the measurement actually become one of the most useful examples of usage of augmented reality. So let's see. Okay. So the next stuff is information. So I think that in few years we will be in the world where you can show, where you can see the ads in your augmented reality. But initially you will be able to just run your application and get a lot of useful information on augmented reality. So here we have just a shop, and the application just reads the stuff about devices, and it shows some things you need, for example, the rating on Amazon or some other system. So you can just go to shop, you don't need to Google it, you run your application and you see all the information you need about the stuff around you. And the next thing is education, and there is already a lot of education application which use augmented reality. Here we have application shown on by Bosch, I believe, and the idea was that they have a car and you can run application, take a look at your car, and it just show all internals, all how it works and things like that. And there is also application for anatomy and some other stuff for chemistry and things like that. So there is a lot of potential in the area of education using augmented reality. The next thing, this is an old demo, and it was shown by Hololens, Microsoft Hololens, and it's like augmented reality teleportation. So they have two people in different location, and they use special camera to track the person, and another person in another place just have Microsoft glasses. And you also can run, I believe, your phone in the future, and you will be able to see this person near you in your room and talk with these people and something like that. And I think it will be just another big step for communication between people. So now you can chat with people, and then you will be able to see these people right near you. So that's about communication. We also will get a lot of assistance in augmented reality. So here's application. You run your application, show some equipments, and see the solution. So it's that easy. You don't need to, again, Google type all this information, because you use your camera for augmented reality, and you see environment just by running your phone. And another thing is representation. And it actually the demo of IKEA place, and I'm not sure I will be able to show it, but the idea is that you can just put some real virtual object. I mean that like a chair you can put in your room, and you can find some furniture you can buy from IKEA to put in your room, and you can find is it good for your space or not, and things like that. So it's just really useful. And the final thing is this application. It actually another stuff for restaurants. So you can actually go to restaurant, and instead of menu, you need to run an application, and you see food right near you on the table. And it looks very impressive, right? So it looks like the real food. And I think that that stuff will replace menus very, very soon. So maybe on the next week. So, and I have some demos, but I don't have times, right? I have maybe 5 minutes. Okay, let me see. Will I be able to do it quick? Okay, here we are. So you see the screen of my iPad. I have few applications here. I just show two. The first one is IKEA Place. You already can download it from App Store. And so the idea is that you can scan your area, so you get some help on the left Okay, I understand. Come on, let's go. Oh, no Wi-Fi, right. Another try. So we get some support on the left. We scan. So we run our camera and we see the place near us, and then we can just add some stuff like a chair in the room. So you can move this chair. You can place it. Let's say let's place it here. And you see that it's quite realistic. It have a shadow. And it just appear on the same place. And actually, even if we will move to another site and move back, it still will be there. And as I said, and if you have your hand, it will be, so it's still on top, right? It's not really realistic. And actually, it's quite stable. So even if you do something like that, it's still there. So the next application, we can try something bigger, like the table. Will be here, so still works. And the next application, this application developed by our company, Excite, and the idea is to show a virtual world in your real space. So you again just turn on your camera, and you have a virtual maze, and it looks like that you just use virtual glasses. So you just go in the real space and you move in the virtual space. And the thing is that you need a lot of space to place this, but because of this is just virtual space, you can just tap and you go. So you can just move around to play this game. So that's all I have, and if you have questions, go ahead. This actually, the thing is that the question was why I'm talking in English, and the thing is that when we prepare this talks, the organizers ask us to speak in English if we can, because there is some person from other countries who can listen to the talk, and as you see, I can talk in English. Yeah, right.